Hey guys, this is Tigress coming back to you with episode 14 of Minecraft New Adventures. So guys, I know I said I wouldn't be streaming tonight, and quite frankly, is it already night? No. I was gonna say, I remember logging off literally straight at the end, so I wouldn't have been surprised. But yeah guys, basically what turned out was, as I've mentioned a few times, probably more than a few times, Friday night meeting group of mates to game night. Now game night essentially ended up finishing about 9:30. No. Yeah, about half, between like 9:30 and at 10 o'clock UK time, which meant I was dropped back off just after, just after like 10, I think it was like 10 past, quarter past 10 I was dropped off. So, after doing dailies on Overwatch and a couple other things, after essentially doing dailies on a couple games, Overwatch being one of them, the time that's like, because guys, I would typically still be doing dailies right now, and it would get me up to about 11:30. But I haven't, and quite frankly, I was like, you know what? I'm going to, for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, I wanted to essentially stream. I wanted to have essentially Spider-Man Miles Morales tomorrow as an option of potentially a longer stream. And by potentially, I mean a case of where, for instance, instead of streaming for say like an hour and a half, I potentially stream for say 2-3 hours. Just because, guys, things have basically worked out this week that I essentially have a couple of hours additional time where I can. So there's potential that tomorrow's stream might be earlier than normal. Because I typically don't stream during the day because I typically don't have the time. But in this case, time's made time for me, essentially. So, yeah, so I decided. I don't know, because it's dark and gloomy, so I'm presuming it's night, so. Today, guys, honestly, at the minute, like, streaming New Adventures, I basically go, okay, that's what I want to focus on this episode. And I essentially focus on that for the episode. Like, I could probably do with going on another mining trip, and I might next episode. But right now, it's a case of how boring is that going to be? And first thing that's coming down, these doors. I kind of like them, and I kind of might keep up. Like, they're going to get checked into a storage box. Oak do look kind of nice. I kind of do like bamboo, and I might go for bamboo. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go for bamboo. At least I'm gonna make them, and then go from there. But yeah, guys, like typically the reason why I don't stream on Friday nights is because at the earliest, this would essentially be the earliest I would be streaming for Fridays. And for most cases, that does just mean, like, depending on what I'm streaming, is depending on how long I'm streaming. Obviously, New Adventures takes about an hour to stream, thankfully. And when we get past, say, essentially the 100 days, like, I know like most YouTubers essentially do say like hardcore and have like like 100 days done in one video, do you like stream-wise? Do you know how long that would take? Like guys, there's like milliseconds differences between. So there's like a few milliseconds differences between a few cases. Because there's been a few cases where because typically what happens is I log off as I'm essentially saying goodbye. But there's a few cases where like I haven't like instantly logged off, turned off stream, and then essentially exited from the world. Also, guys, I'm sorry if the mic slightly turned muffled for a second or two. Basically, my setup currently is right now that I have essentially a headset that I bought, which I was full intended to use as more headset for streaming and all that lot, but it's like, hold on, wait a minute. It achieves the same goal by just essentially having it on my lap. And then I get rid of like that, which yes, I am 100% essentially 100% in that case rattling a little bit, but like they start to slightly rattle when on my head, and I apologise now. But essentially, then got rid of the rattle, and I want to say slightly improved, like audio. But like the reason I was apologising was quite simply because of the fact that essentially sits on my leg. If one of my feet start to itch, I'm one of those people where something like not it's that time more weird than it should be, but something essentially needs to be like. For instance, my foot's itchy, I'm going to itch it. It's a normal thing. And one of my right foot is starting to like itch, and it's like, oh, I need to. But it's like, hold on, by itching that foot, I'm then knocking the other leg where my headset is. Someday I might eventually get to a point where like I'm, using a microphone and all that lot, and like sound like proofing and all that lot. But right now, guys, I'm essentially working with what I got, and what I got is a decent headset. Although, guys, some of you might be asking, hold on, wait, Tigris, haven't you used mics before now? I did. A lot of the like last like so many episodes of Quest were filmed with a mic. They weren't the best quality mics, because I think the last one I had was probably, granted, it wasn't cheap, it wasn't expensive. I think it was like 20-30 quid on Amazon. But the headset I bought is a bit more expensive, and the audio is going to sound a lot more better. Plus, I essentially get a multi-tool purpose. Although, guys, I will say now, there are points where I start to go, hold on, what happened in this stream? Because I'm looking at seeing the house is almost fully built. And it's like, when did we... Oh, that's when... okay, yeah, now I remember. Like, I'm seeing now, and it's like, oh, a train? When did I mess with a train? I probably will try and get those 4 stats. It's like, hold on, wait, there's holes. It's like, why the hell is there a train here? It's like, oh, wait, yeah. 2. So, like, and it's time to sleep. It's like, hold on, wait, oh, yeah, 2 of the mods that I've got installed on here. Guys, the 2 mods that I do have installed, because I can show you. Behavior packs, active. Train add-on, and then Quarry BP. Those are literally the only 2 mods. I say mods, add-ons, that I've got on. Good thing I did decide to essentially try and get an additional stack. It would have been bits I would have forgot. So yeah, guys, basically the reason that like I basically just put like pros and cons of, and essentially it was a case of, because I will be streaming Spider-Man at some point tomorrow. It's essentially a case of, no, do I not stream New Adventures, the next episode of New Adventures, until, you know, Sunday, and then stream episode 15 then on Monday? See, that also weirdly kind of looks nice. So I might use that at some point. Basically, guys, what I've essentially been doing with any extra like bamboo is just chucking it around. I can tell you now, once the house is 98% done, I will be going around and chopping down. I say chopping down, I might not do it when the house is like mostly done. What I might do is just leave them up, wait until I go to then essentially designate an area to it. So basically, guys, there's not that much more to fill in, which is thankful. And part of me is so tempted to get like rid of the windows like this and just have it as a backdoor open area. But I know what I probably will do. See, part of me is tempted to do a flat roof, and quite frankly, I'm not disagreeing with it, because like I did it for Quest, and I think Quest was the last time that I've done a flat roof. Because it's like, hold on, is it? And it's like, yeah, because 9 times out of 10 I essentially do more of a traditional roof and it's more slanted. But I think I might. See, what would be the smart thing right now is like getting birch and all that lot. Although I don't like because these are essentially what the normal dogs look like. Now, how do I know that's what the normal dogs look like? Because if we go all the way back to Quest, guys, and we can look at the fact of tiny bit of story time, tiny bit of a bit of a rant, but then if we go back and look at Benji from Quest, one of the first dogs, one of the dogs that survived. You'll see the fact that he's essentially just a typical white dog, but like red collar. Theoretically, it should be anyway with the plastic texture pack added on. Also, guys, if I do go back to Quest, I see it because I've seen a few YouTubers who had the plastic texture when it first came out equipped, and like any you do decide to go Tigris, but you remove it, it's like nope. I've built way too much on Quest for me to then go, yeah, no, we'll remove it. It's the right thing to do. My fans want me to. It'd just be a case of suck it up. Also, guys, I'm not guaranteeing saying Quest is coming back, and it won't be back for a while. The best you're gonna get with Quest at the minute is the odd live streams, which I still want to do at some point. Because I've been on Quest a few times since guys, I'm not gonna lie, I have been on Quest think 3 or 4 times since bringing it onto a realm and being attacked on PlayStation 5, but that's because of the fact that there were so many things that I wanted to go and look at. Because I would let the fact that I played PS5 graphics compared to Xbox, like, it's not a case of going compared to like Xbox, it's a case of going compared to last gen graphics. Also, guys, out of this mini, like, I know what all of them looks like, but essentially out of what the mini, like, dog selections that we've got, like, here, but I do know what all of them look like. I don't know what dog, I think the spawns, no. I believe we got these from essentially the Spruce biome, but, like, I think this potentially is my favourite variant, and I will say why. See, there's stuff that I'm thinking, have I ever mentioned it? It's like, yeah, I've mentioned it, but back in 2019, because, guys, my birthday's 11th of June, which is coming up soon. The 9th of, like, I think I might have gone and said that story back when it happened, but back at the time I was still doing quests. And I took a tiny bit of time off because the 9th of June, because I had 2 dogs at the time, I no longer have any dogs. I would say separate stream, separate video, but I've gone into it before now. I don't know how much time I did take off in the end, but like I know I ended up talking about in the series Mansion, the Mansion series I was doing at the time. And guys, if I was to ever do the Mansion series again, it would be a case of restarting. Kind of. It'd be a picking and choosing, and if I had to essentially pick between being able to go back to the Mansion, even though it was fun, or going back and say doing Quest, I would choose Quest. It's essentially a series that started everything. But yeah, I said back in, I think it was one of the last Mansion episodes, I'm not 100% sure, because I think it was back in like 2022, like end of 2021, end of 2021, beginning of like end of 2022, it was one of those Christmases. Between that time period, I was essentially going, I'm not that intrigued in doing YouTube now. I'm cutting it back and basically only doing quests just because I feel it feels like the right thing to do. And even then, that was barely. And I'm so happy I did take the break in the end. But getting back to 9th of June, I've always had Yorkshire Terrier dogs. I've had 3. The names being Bella, Ruby, and Marnie. Now, Bella I've had since I was a child. Like, at the time, like, because as far as I like remember, like my parents have never been together. Like they used to be, but like I was essentially a baby at the time. And Bella was up my dad's at the time, and I don't know how, but apparently I was able to essentially convince my mother to let us come down and live with us, and she became the family dog at the time. Kind of, more mine, but basically the family dog. Then back in, I want to say, it does kind of annoy me that I don't remember the exact date, but I think it's just because of a case of I've essentially, when it comes to things like grief, like a lot of time you do like forget, like your mind does essentially protect yourself in situations like that. So I think it is just down to that. I would say the year I was in, but I know in fact that's not going to make a difference. I think I was like 11 at the time. We had to get up at sleep, unfortunately. Which is why I'm not exactly the biggest fan of vets. I'll get into that in a second because it does tie in. Very not long after, I think within the same year, I was either 11 or 12 at the time. We then got Barney and Ruby from these people in Liverpool. They weren't completely honest. There were a few fibs told, but at the end of the day, I don't regret having them, and I miss all 3 of them to this day. So we ended up having them. We had Barney and Ruby until, well, Ruby then died on me during sleep on the 9th of June. Guys, my birthday is the 11th. So as you can imagine, that year, I was like, nope, not celebrating it. I'd already ordered a few stuff, because I typically order stuff at the end of May, beginning of June for my birthday. So, my mother was like, you can have a few stuff just to cheer you up, because I was 100% not a case of not in the mood. Now, at this point in time, I wasn't of the legal age to be able to drink, so I couldn't essentially drown my problems in alcohol. Did I? That's a different question. Basically, guys, if you don't know anyone, if you've never met anyone from the UK, I can guarantee you now, if you turn around and ask them, when's your 18th birthday? Or when's your 21st birthday? Like, for when you started drinking, it's like, that wasn't when I started drinking. What do you mean? Basically, it's just that, like, see, I don't know whether it was just a case of my parents, but, like, typically a lot of UK people essentially, like, let the kids drink a bit younger. With my folks, it was more my dad and my mother did agree. It was more of a case of, I'd rather offer you the alcohol now instead of you essentially going behind my back. Now, I was slightly impressed that he thought that was possible. Mainly because of the fact that I didn't go to parties. Never invited. Although, to be fair, it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm not fussed. Like, I knew people who started them, I was friends with people who did, just wasn't that fussed at the end of the day. So, yeah, so legally wasn't able to essentially drink my sorrows. But yeah, so she died on the 9th of June, my birthday wasn't going to be celebrating that year. I'm only a bit more comfortable now, because that was back in, like, 2019. That's almost 10 years ago. It's like 4 or 5 years, it's 4 years off. So then in 2020 in July, basically, guys, being in mind COVID was out at this time, I'd already finished. Because, guys, Ruby died before I went to college, and I still went to college, but I was 100% in the mindset of I wasn't 100%. I was like, guys, I'm the type of person who always gives more of a shit about. And I don't know, I tend to use more bad language, but I've always been more of someone who cares about animals. Like, guys, as a literal comparison, I found out that my own uncle died last year. It kind of was a long story, kind of not, but didn't go to the funeral because of personal reasons that I'm not willing to go into. But yeah, guys, I found out my uncle died last year, a month after. Again, reasons I'm not willing to go into, and it's more of a case of the person involved, if she found out the fact of what I was saying, I would then be dealing with a legal matter. It's the reason I don't essentially speak to guys, family-wise. The only family I do speak to is my mother. Don't speak to none of the others for personal reasons, and I'm not willing to go into them. Because I do like to keep a good bit of my life personal, even though I do stream and do content. But yeah, guys, I cried more when I lost Ruby and Barney than I did when I found out my uncle was dead. Didn't shed a tear. There was a mental breakdown. I say mental. There was a breakdown like a couple months later. Because guys, last June, this is before, like, guys, I typically don't, like, I'm 21, turning 22 next month. Now, I typically don't drink that much in the first place. Like, my birthday and Christmas, I'll have a drink. The odd time doing games night, I'll take some cans with me. Like, there's just essentially a couple cans of beer. But that's about it. So when I say last year on my birthday, because of the fact that I refused to deal with my emotions at the time, I decided, you know what, before 11 o'clock, this is like 10:30 in the morning, was a good time to crack open whiskey. Yeah, that's an obvious sign of the fact of I wasn't doing 100%. Thankfully, it's a couple hours for myself and not dealing with people, and because of my mother, I was able to get through the day and relatively decent. have I ever considered speaking to someone about essentially stuff? Yes, but at the end of the day, guys, I'd rather not speak to a complete stranger who's essentially just telling me what I need to hear because they're getting paid to. But yeah, so Ruby died before I went to college. I still went to college, but again, wasn't 100%. And then Barney died almost just over a year later. And by died, I mean I had to get put to sleep. Because, guys, at the time, like, because it'd been a while, he wasn't 100% for a good while. Me and mother didn't see the signs, and she didn't want to go through it again because she went through it with me the first time with Bella. So my dad went with me at the time, back when I was still speaking to him. Again, reasons I'm not willing to go into because, quite frankly, they don't make a difference. He took me down. We then went down in a cab, and the vets basically, they'd already said the fact of what was going to happen. Me, my mother knew, and it broke me. Now, guys, I'm not someone emotionally who can get broke that easy. Not these days. Back then, I essentially did still have some feelings. But since like stuff like that, I have for the most part essentially closed myself off. Like if I don't need to feel anything, if I don't need to feel anything, I tend not to. Is it healthy? 100% not, and I do not recommend it. So yeah, I'd finished college, and I then had to go and get Barney put to sleep. And I'm sorry if this upsets anyone, not the point of it. Essentially saying why I stopped doing YouTube for a good period of time. Now I don't know whether I'd already stopped by the time by the time I lost Barney too. But like I know I was still doing it with Ruby, and it's the reason I kind of took time off. And guys, by this point, I hadn't completely moved to PlayStation. Well, actually, no, by this point, I had completely moved to PlayStation. Like, I was basically barely ever on Xbox. Like, guys, the most I've been on Xbox recently is to essentially go, yeah, I want to, you know, be able to have access to this stuff on a more regular basis. I like them, but no, I'm making out. I 100% should have made 6, and I can probably find some use for them. So, yeah, guys, I wasn't in the right place. Over the last 3-4 years, I've essentially got into a better place. But it has taken time. Now, the point of this is, if you know you need time, don't ever be one of those people that's like, no, I refuse to. The good guys, when I tell you no, I don't regret much. That looks a bit nicer. Yeah, guys, overall, don't regret much. But there are times where I have essentially kind of been like, why didn't I open, I'm gonna do more now. Yeah. Why didn't I open up? Why didn't I, like, because I've more than once been told by people, like, a mate of mine, I'd say one of my better mates, a mate that I'm talked to a good bit and slightly closer with, was like, yeah, if you need to talk, you can. And quite frankly, my response to it was, I know, but I'm not going to. Am I out? No, but I don't have much left. Okay, so I'm going to go and cut some. I might also need some more birch. Oh, looks like I'm cutting down some trees. So, yeah, guys, basically, at that point, I'd basically just I don't know if it's the fact that I was no longer enjoying doing YouTube, but I just like, yeah, no, I'm done. So come 20... Actually, no, I was, because I was still doing YouTube until like 2021. I'm mistaken. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, so come 2021, 2022, like Christmas, and it was like, I did the Christmas episode, but it felt like I was forcing myself to. Come the following year's Christmas, it's like, I need to film a Christmas episode for Quest. Because that was the one constant thing, and while it might not be great, I was still constantly trying to do them. I 100% should have just taken a look and been like, hold on, I've not uploaded a single episode of Quest in the last month, in the last year. Because guys, if you literally look on the channel, go to the video page, Quest 179, I'm back. Quest 180 is on Christmas Day. Year before that, the 178 is literally Quest Christmas Day. So yeah, like a literal case of, I don't know why I didn't like notice it before, but I was like, at that point, after that, like not doing a Christmas episode in 2022, or no, 2021. What was I coming for? Sapling. But yeah, guys, the reason I say, like, I'll get back to it, we're probably going to do a mining. I've only got a few I don't have enough to make 4 set diamond armor, and I don't have that much iron left. Because I did waste it. But yeah, basically, that point, I was like, I'm no longer enjoying doing YouTube. I feel like I'm forcing myself to do videos. So I was like, no, I'm done. Tigris is just done. It's been a nice part of my life, but like, I'm done. It was Birch, wasn't it? But then fate then strikes me down, and a mate of mine who I don't know if he still does stream. I know he's not streaming at the minute, Blue Ninja, because basically the way we both stream is through our PlayStations. He's currently having problems. So yeah, so we both essentially stream for our PlayStations, but at the minute his PlayStation's slightly acting up. So at the minute, I don't think he's streaming at the minute. I've not seen no notifications. But anyway, he does stream. He's only ever streamed on Twitch. I've streamed a few times on Twitch, but like I chose to essentially try and grow the audience on YouTube again, because I'd started and it seemed essentially the simplest way to do it. But yeah, so guys, basically the end of the day, 2-3 years ago, I was full on a case of, yep, no, I'm done with YouTube. It mainly did just come down to the fact of, I'm not making nothing from this. I'm no longer enjoying it. Why on hell should I force myself to do good content every week? Twice a week, being in mind, because I was doing quests twice a week. For essentially the sake of nothing. So I stopped, and I don't regret stopping. There's not been no real point in the last couple of years where like I've been like, yeah, I want to start doing it again, because for the most part it's been like, because even at that point it was like, how the hell do I find time? Because it's like, I've got to find time during the day, which I don't have much of, and then there's time at night. And then there's swapping from between both consoles. But in the end, I find a very simple solution. Stream for an hour to an hour and a half, from the hours of like 8:30 to about 10:30, then speak to my mates for a couple of hours after that, if I want to. Because I could have spoke to a couple of them tonight, but it's like, they don't expect me around on a Friday night anyway. It makes no difference. So, yeah. But then, again, like I say, my mate Blue Nuno was essentially started streaming himself, and it's like, I want to start streaming again. So I started streaming on Twitch a little bit, and games I did start streaming were things like, I've done a couple GTA streams, but they've essentially lasted like 20 minutes on Twitch. Because, guys, most people have the luxury of being able to essentially go and doing like, essentially like streamathons and all that lot of just being able to switch between games. Because of how, which is annoying, I wish you could set one up and basically go, this is what game I'm going to be playing, and then have the ability to essentially switch games. And also then potentially switch titles, but there's technically no way around that for YouTube at least. Or at least be able to, you know, switch games, because it's basically tied to a case of, if, actually, great example. I want to say a couple weeks ago, but I know it wasn't. I know it was like a month ago. Actually, longer than a month ago. Guys, episode 2, season 1 of Batman Telltale series, known what I call as Broken Memories. At the 166th minute, just as I was basically about to wrap up stream, my PlayStation game crashed. I don't know if it was PlayStation or whether it's just the game crashed, but either way, one of them crashed. To how I used to do stream, like how I used to record content, no problem. It was a separate device. No, it's a case of, oh great, so I basically just turned on the stream again, streamed for like 2 minutes and was like, yep guys, this is what's happened. Does it technically affect the algorithm and, you know, performance and all that lot? Yes. Do I regret returning on stream? No. I'm essentially, if it's a case of, even in a situation like that, I would 100% still end up doing it. Basically, guys, at this point I'm just kind of getting resources. So, yeah. So then I decided to essentially start streaming again, and that's it from there. Like, I was about to say 2 months ago I then started, but no, it's 3 months ago. New Adventures Episode 1 came out 3 months ago, and I've not regretted the decision, and I think from now on, I'm only ever going to put content out, hopefully, at least for now. Don't know whether I'll always 100% stick to this. Only ever going to put content out that I 100% look at and say, yeah, I'm happy with. But say, please don't. Now, the only time there will be exceptions to this is if a case of I'm streaming, because I have no say in the matter. If I start streaming and start going or start stuttering all that lot, that's staying in stream. I have no control over that. Which is why I kind of like New Adventures being a stream series. It takes me out of my comfort zone. And guys, by what I mean by taking me out of my comfort zone is quite simply, it takes me out of it. Like, I prefer having full control over what content I put out. And while I control it down to literal milliseconds, for the most part, I don't have full control over streams. Like, if someone was to essentially pop into my Twitter now and started talking nonsense, best I could do is basically, like, if you're going to carry on, you get a banned. But, like, under most circumstances, I'd see the comment on a video and just, you know, be like, blocked, deleted, not with an intention to list. Although, guys, I don't know whether these two people, I can't remember their exact names, but a couple people back when I was still doing videos did comment on an episode of The Mansion. Was basically, I looked at the comments and it was like, okay, yeah, this has cheered me up, because like I mentioned the fact that I lost my legs at the time. I mentioned the one episode of The Mansion. I'm gonna actually double check, see if I can figure out what episode of The Mansion it was. I want to say it was episode 5 of Mansion Skeleton House. Our Skeleton House Stable. Or it might have been a case of getting skeleton horses. But yeah, basically a couple of people commented, was basically just like, dude, hope you're okay and all that lot. And people don't always necessarily get, like, you can receive, say, 100 comments that are basically going, good work, great vid, great stream, love your work, all that lot. You can receive 100 nice comments. All it takes is that one bad comment to be like, you should just really die or something, or you shouldn't exist. Then you literally start to look at yourself, wait, really? Shouldn't I? No, it's dumb and stupid, and I've been saying it from a content point of view and from a creator point of view and from someone who watches content. It is dumb and stupid, the fact of that, A, we then let stuff like that bother us, and B, people then comment stuff like that. I find this time being like, oh, it's oak, I'm doing it. It's like, no, hold on, no, this is jungle. Although, if I've got cocoa beans, if I got some cocoa beans, I can start growing them. Like, I've been able to grow them for a while, but it's like, I'm just not. First of all, asleep, and then we'll apartment. I don't know, I haven't a while ago. Being dumb and stupid, probably. Like, guys, some of this area potentially will just get cleared out to make farms. One. Damn it. 2. 3. But yeah, guys, all it does take is one bad comment for any content creator to instantly go, hold on, wait a minute, is it? No, it's not. Is it though? Which is why when I saw those 2 comments, I was like, yeah, thanks, it's like, really thanks, like, guys, like, you don't know how much that comments mean, like, it's really cheered me up, so thanks for it. Because what people don't always put into consideration is there's an annoying saying which I disagree with, and I've probably taken it more than once, but rocks will hurt me, but essentially what it's essentially saying is, like, words can never hurt me, but like sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt. The reason I don't like it is because it doesn't put into consideration a few things. And guys, the thing almost no one ever puts into consideration in that case is okay, sticks and stones will break your bones. Essentially saying, if I was to go and punch you with like decent force, there's a potential chance that it'll hurt, potentially break a bone. But words should essentially just bounce off. Not always true. The reason they're not always true is because people don't put into consideration that words do still hurt, and sometimes hurt more. And the reason some people don't put into consideration is because the same reason that I, for a part of my life, did just ignore it was because, guys, I grew up with, I don't want to say an army sergeant because he 100% isn't, but he was more of a case of tough love won't hurt. And by tough love, it was a case of, oh no, you're feeling ill, like you're sniffing, you're cold, you're sniffing, sniffles and all that lot. You can still go to school next day. Basically, guys, I'm not going to go into full detail because it's not my place to go there, but basically back in, I think it was like 2018, 2018, my mother ended up in hospital, nothing too serious now, and she's completely fine now, for the most part anyway. A few other things, but that's essentially just dictated to like another operation that she had to go through a few years ago because of something that happened years, but like something that happened back when she was like 20, 30. So, you know, a good 20, 30 years ago, because my mother's not exactly young. Basically, guys, my mother was in hospital for a few days, and I was kind of distraught. My own father was still like, I'll pop in on, you know, Monday morning to make sure you still go to school. Instead of going, are you okay? Don't worry about school for Monday. I'll contact school, explain the situation and all that lot, because in a situation like that, school would have been like, okay, we'll expect to see Kieran in tomorrow then. Guys, I did accidentally use my real, like, I don't inform people know my real name, I just don't typically say it on stream because stream is Tigris. But yeah, so I still got sent to school that day. Was I happy about it? No. Did I essentially talk, because I had a teacher who I could talk to about most shit, who helped me get through my exams and helped me with studying, because what I realised from essentially studying with her was I'm a practical learner. Always have been. Is it because of my ADHD? Who knows? But like, I don't learn stuff in the same way almost any single person does. I learn it from essentially doing it. So for instance, guys, if you were to essentially give me like a tutorial on how to build, say, a mansion, there's a potential chance I wouldn't be able to do it. But if you were to, for instance, show, like, get me there, like, give me the stuff to do it, and like tell me where everything was to be placed, I'd probably be able to do it. Guys, I'm not going to essentially start building like the next stuff, like building more stuff up when there's like 5 minutes left. I won't get through it. But yeah, guys, I've always been a practical learner. The only time it doesn't really apply is I have built Enderman farms on a few worlds now. I've built a few iron farms too. I watched like tutorials for that. And even then, guys, those weren't a case of watching the video all the way through, then what stuff needed, then going through it. It was a case of, so to do this, I need to go there, 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 and like there. That's how that needs to be built. Like for all the way through the video, I went from essentially going, after I mine also back up, then place 3 more blocks back down. I've learned like with those going, so you want this, 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 3 up. This, 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 this. Like, that's what you want. And then going through it individually, each step by step. like, because quite frankly, it's a lot easier seeing like something like done and like small stepwise and going through. That is why like something like Lego is always like sort of interested me and still to this date. Just because like that I know for a fact does dictate back to my ADHD, because it basically it forces me to essentially focus for a couple of hours and go, oh, that goes there, that goes there. It gets my creativity like sort of flowing in a more normalistic way. So yeah. Although, guys, I will say the height is starting to come along nicely, and I apologise now for essentially the rant. I've seen for the last few years, like in Quest was more like a podcast. I would more rant and all that lot, and like just say what was on my mind, than talk about what I was trying to build. So is this. Like, I will essentially go that way. I want that, up to there, up like that. But a lot of time I will just go, guys, my day's been like this, and this. But we're almost on day 70. Although, guys, I will say now, it's one of those things where it's like, hold on, I'm almost on day 70 and I've not been to the Nether yet. So I will be spending the next couple streams like, what I might do is try and get essentially the next floor done and try and get the roof done for the house. Then ignore, say, 99% of the rest of the work. Have it as an open build for now. Then, say, spend from episode, say, 75 up to, say, 90 looking for stuff to make the Nether portal. Because I refuse to have not been to the Nether within 100 days. Although, guys, I did jump onto Quest, I think it was a couple of days ago. And the first thing I was looking at was, I wonder how many, like, because it's been something I've been intrigued the last couple of days. It's like, I wonder how many days I've done on Quest. Because, like, I spent, like, 4 years, like, filming, like, content on it. And I wasn't completely surprised, but I was also like, because it's, like, less than, like, 300, and it's like, that doesn't, it's like, how many hours are you expecting after? It's like, a few. But yeah, I don't know whether it was a case of, because part of me is like, is that it, like, only clocking a certain point of them, or is it not clocking them all, or if you've had your world for so long, it'll only go up to, like, under 300 days. But either way, I don't know. So far as I know, Quest is I've only had for, like, the last, like, 200 and something days. And why don't I just eat the apple? At some point, I'll need golden apples, and quite frankly, it's a lot easier to see. It's a lot easier to be in the mindset of, must save every apple, than need to go, I need apples. Granted, I could make an apple farm. I want to get my house back up to at least somewhat full. At least somewhat back up to the top. I don't know why I did. I think it's because I had them spare. But yeah, guys, next episode we will be taking care of the roof. And I say the roof, I mean the attic. But other than that, I've not been that predicted. Like, last couple episodes, I will 100% say, I have not been that like, I've not done that much. I'm gonna go and take care of this creeper while I remember. Like that was one shot from an hour, and then just a quick da-da-da. But yeah, guys, so this is the end of the stream. Hope you enjoyed, but this is Tigress signing off. Bye.